We talk about happy wife, happy life. Now, the way it's supposed is that a man as a husband who typically might say these things that he considers his wife, because he recognizes, if you believe in this phrase, that, hey, if she's happy, life is going to be happy, which would mean that he would have to consider her, right? Because you need to know what's going to make her happy. Unless he just thinks provision and protection is it, right? So what do y'all think about this phrase? Because recently, it's coming to fire, right? Many of us a little bit older grew up with it. Now it's happy spouse, happy house, right? And you mentioned red pill, but the red pill, the manosphere is like, man, fuck this happy wife shit. It's a subjugation of men to become, slaves, and so she can leave me after she cheats on me and takes half of everything. This happy wife, happy life thing is a problem. So what are your thoughts about that? How do y'all feel? Y'all cool with the phrase? Y'all prefer the other one? Do y'all see why people have a problem with it? What are y'all thoughts about happy wife, happy life?
I think modern day men now guys now they in it for the reciprocity. They don't want to sit here and just have her be happy or just pour into her and not get any pouring back into themselves. Like, listen, I want reciprocity. They took the ladies serious. Like, I want to be partners. I want us to be partners. Okay, well, if we're going to be partners, then we're going to pour into each other. I'm going to be happy too, or we're going to cater to each other's happiness. I can't really think of the last time when people ask, you know, guy, are you happy? Ladies, are you asking your man, hey man, are you happy? Do you need a sandwich? You need some head? You good? What does that look like? Is the man's mental health, you're talking about him being emotionally intelligent, emotionally available? That's taxing. Is he good with that extra labor? S&M earlier, you talked about, the way men used to be, what men used to do. I don't think when we look at our fathers and grandfathers, we would consider them being emotionally intelligent, or if your grandmother would categorize your grandfather as emotionally available. So those are extra things men are doing now. I think men are doing way more than they ever have, to maintain a relationship and to consider women. Because I think women they have a lot more freedom and a lot more say so and a lot more voice in relationships. And I don't think men are getting enough, credit for that and the emotional labor that they're doing. So is his happiness being considered? So that's where the happy house, happy spouse comes in. That's where the men are coming from. Well, ladies, you wanted it to be egalitarian and what's the word now? Not sympathy, empathy, equity. So this is what that looks like. So men want their feelings and their emotional health taken into consideration too. And I think that's what they're saying.
I think there was a time when it was happy wife, happy life. I think not because the wife has more value in the relationship or in the home than the husband, but because initially, for a long time in culture, the wife she would stay at home. She was the child raiser, as S&M pointed out. She was the nurturer, as S&M pointed out. And the nurturer in the house sets the energy, right? Because when everybody's having a bad day or when they're feeling down, they're going to that source of nourishment, emotional nourishment, that boost, right? And if it's not there, because it's not happy, right? Because it's not on the vibe, then the whole tenor of the house does go down. The whole house does feel it. And because that was the role that person, they were the stabilizer, right? Now, but take a marriage where the wife's out of the home and the father's raising the kids. Well, then happy wife, happy life doesn't really apply then as much, does it? It's really about the emotional stability and the positioning of the person who is there to be the nourisher, to be the provide, to give that sort of harmonizing equilibrium to the space, right? And when both are there, then I think what Nick said is right. It's happy spouse, happy house. I think there's no one person upon whom the entire joy of the house should rest, because everybody in the house has value, man. But I will say this: whoever in the house, everybody looks to make them feel better. You better make that person good. Otherwise, when you're down, they won't be there. So whoever that person is in the house, that's where I would say. I think that men are speaking up more because men are playing different roles now. As I was pointing out, as I was alluding to before, we are playing different roles. And so we are saying, look, my happiness is important because, like, as Devin was saying, I am doing more. I'm not just bringing in the paycheck, right? I'm having these emotional talks like, you know what I'm saying? I can't name all the black fathers on TV because they've been vilified. Okay, but you get the idea. Okay, you get the idea. So it's happy spouse, happy house, man. Just share the love. You're all valuable. You're all important. Women, y'all stop being selfish, man. Stop. We love you all. You don't have to carve out a space and make a bunch of rules for us to love y'all. When a man loves you, he gonna be soft to you off GP because he can't even help it. He gonna be soft to you when he doesn't want to be. He's gonna try to make you happy even when it's making him mad. Okay, so we don't need a rule for that. What we do need is a rule that says reciprocity. I make you happy. Pass some of that back. Okay? It's supposed to be an engine. It's supposed to be a system that refuels, right? It's kind of stuck on y'all's side. And that's what the conversation is really about, right? Let some of the blessings come back. Go ahead. What y'all got to say?
Yeah. So first of all, I just want to point out that women didn't start this goddamn phrase. So for y'all to put the blame, particularly Jay, on the
Are you
women
sure?
saying, no, we did not start this phrase. As a matter of fact, it's because historically men held the power and the women were the ones who set the climate in the household because that's what their responsibilities were as the nurturer. So you were correct in regards to that because when women are neglected, then the entire household, of course, feels it because she's neglected. And so that's where it is. But I really want folks to stop blaming women for every goddamn thing. Happy life, happy wife, happy wife, happy life. That was a woman who made that. No, we didn't. And as a matter of fact, the reason why it came about also was because men were told they had to be silent. Men were told they had to be stoic. Men were told they had to suck it up because those were the roles that y'all was assigned in this whole traditional gender type stuff. And so with that being said, if you were silent and you weren't voicing how you felt, that also contributed to why the woman emotions controlled the house as well, because men were not voicing it because they just basically had to stifle their unhappiness, which is a problem, which is why I do support happy spouse, happy house. Because I do believe we should pour into each other. I do believe that it's a two-way street because if my husband's not happy, then the house actually does suffer because he does speak on his unhappiness. Just like if I'm not happy, then the house will suffer because I will speak on this happiness. But one thing I also would like to point out is that to me, happy is a temporary state. So when we talk about happiness, that's a temporary state and a temporary like, oh, ha moment. And so happy spouse, happy house has to go past just that happy part because there's also contentment. Are you content in the household? Is everything working accordingly because you're balanced and you're pouring in each other? Are you being each other peace? Are we considering each other's feelings? Are we being considerate? Are we collaborating? Are we cooperating with each other? That's what all goes in there. So to me, even happy spouse, while I agree with a happy house, is temporary because we should be striving for contentment. We should be striving for peace. And so I just want to acknowledge, though, that women didn't make this shit up. That was something that men said, that men came to be. And we, of course, co-signed. We were like, yeah, you're right. Yes, yes. Let's get this happy wife, happy life. But we also recognize if we're going to ask you guys to be emotionally intelligent and we're asking you to bring other aspects into the household, then we also have to reflect that change as well and pour back into it. We can't just ask you guys to say and change and we don't do anything. There needs to be an adjustment as well. So yeah, happy house, happy spouse. I don't believe with happy wife, happy life, but I understand where it came from and I understood why it was rooted in the wife happiness because she did at that time control the climate in the household.